That's what I call a close encounter.
Alright y'all, today we're talking about the FAF SPEAR and kind of what happened to it with the latest meta shift. Now, for this video, I want to break down the basics of it, what it does well, what it kind of struggles with, and where it kind of falls in now with the sandbox, and then there's also an elephant in the room when it comes to the rocket category. But before we get into that, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Even consider leaving a comment. You can just say, hey Nomad, you're looking very handsome today. And that I would really appreciate that. And that does a lot for the channel. So yeah, consider doing those things, and let's get into the video. Now, real quick with the basics for the Spear. You unlock this at level 20. It's pretty early on. Most players probably already have this. Getting to level 20, not a big deal. Now, this rocket launcher is the only target homing missile rocket launcher that we have at the moment. We have the Commando, which is a guided, and then the other two are freeform. So the way this rocket launcher works, you have to aim down sights. It'll eventually get the lock-on reticle, which is like a yellow box, and then it homes in, and when it turns green, you can finally shoot a rocket. Now, there is a dead zone with this rocket launcher, so you have to be aware that targets can't be too close. So something like a charger is going to be a little problematic if it's charging you and you have it lock on. Sometimes it'll just sail right over them. So you need a little distance, but not really the biggest deal, just something to consider. So getting into the stats of this thing, it has a 7 armor penetration. And just for reference, the command bunkers on the bot sides have 6 armor levels. So there's nothing in the game that actually has 7 armor at the moment. This thing also does 4,000 damage and durable damage, which means it basically shreds everything in 1 to 2 rockets. There are heavier targets that it does not take down in one shot, like a factory strider, and sometimes it does not take a bile titan down in one shot, but everything else is pretty much a sure bet as long as it's head on. The only other thing that I could consider that's not going to kill it in one shot is maybe if you hit the side of a behemoth charger, that might take 2 shots as well. But out of all the rocket launchers, this one does the most damage, and it comes with 4 missiles. So it comes with a backpack slot as well. So you're going to get the weapon and the backpack when you use this stratagem in game. Now, what is this spear good for? What's this weapon really good for? Well, it's really good at killing heavy and massive targets. This weapon is really easy to use, obviously, because it has that lock-on feature. So you don't really have to do a lot of thinking with it. If it locks on, you shoot, you're going to get results. So like I just said, yes, this weapon is a massive heavy, and then it does kill some like structured targets. Not all of them, but enough of them. And so those are the main things you can take out with this thing, and the range on it is insane as well. So before the patch, I would actually consider this thing almost like S tier and a must pick when tier 10 initially came out. Obviously we have the patch now, everything's rebalanced, but yeah, when tier 10 first hit our doors, this thing was a must pick just because the amount of heavy and massive targets we were getting flooded with. This is one of the most like reliable ways of taking them out one after the other. And of course now we have come a long way from then, so not as crucial anymore, but this thing is still exactly the same as before. Now really the weaknesses with this weapon is that the fact that it only can target those heavy and massive targets, and then it has to have that lock-on feature, and you also cannot fire this free form. So really it just kind of limits what this thing can target. And also having 4 rockets, it's a little limiting, and we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the recoilless rifle. So since the balance patch, the recoilless rifle has seen a huge glow up, and it essentially has replaced the spear because you get more rockets. It does comparable damage, not as much. The spear does do more damage, but with the way the game is balanced right now, you kind of get the same results where the recoilless rifle takes 2 rockets to take down a bile titan to the face, and the spear can do the same thing. You have that same results happen sometimes too. But with the recoilless rifle, you get more rockets in the backpack. And also now it has that functionality of being a flak rocket, which helps it take out lower chaff enemies. And it also can be a little free form. Now with the recoilless, people are going to talk about, well, you know, it's got a little bit of higher of a skill, like a skill ceiling. That's true and all, but let's be honest, hitting targets in this game is not something really to, I would say, brag about. So that's not really a huge factor I would consider. So with the balance, it's not so much that the recoilless rifle, I mean, the recoilless rifle is very good now, obviously. I think that is now an S tier pick. And we talk about that when we get to a ranking video for the stratagem weapons, but the recoilless rifle essentially does everything the spear does now, except for that the ammo economy is better. You got more versatility options. And the spear overall kind of sits in a weird place where it's almost overkill. And then also it has a limited, amount of targets it can hit. So now since the patch, I barely see anybody using the spear anymore. And I'm wondering kind of like, what is your guys' experience now with the spear? How do you feel about it? Do you think this thing is kind of just, it's almost too good, or it is too much of a niche now? It's kind of been backed into a corner, and it's just not as like helpful as it used to be, or it's not like a must pick anymore. Now, of course, nothing has been nerfed about this thing, so the spear is still very good, very viable. It's an amazing pick still, and don't ever think about not using because it's bad. It's just, we have other things that do its job a little bit better, and then something else as well. So now really I leave the question up to you guys. I like to have discussions about weapons, and this is the first kind of meta shift weapon that I now kind of look like I'm like, ugh, why would I really want to pick you anymore? Obviously, I still do use a spear. It's a great weapon, but I just want to know, are you guys still using this weapon? Obviously, this thing pairs very well with all of the, I would say, medium penetration weapons that can basically clear everything, below heavies. But unfortunately, yeah, I do find myself gravitating more towards the recoilless rifle than our good old spear friend here. Now, thankfully, I think you can make a case for this weapon over the expendable and the commando, just because those ones do like half as much damage, even like a fourth of one. I think the expendable does 2,000 damage, and now the commando does 1,100. So the spear is like kicking the crap out of those with damage, but it almost does too much damage, where it's like, it's, you don't need that much damage anymore, essentially, because everything else has been kind of brought down. Now, eventually, maybe we'll see some, level 7 armor enemies or stuff that the spear is going to be, crucial for taking. But at the moment, again, it kind of seems a little overkill in the sandbox. But I just want to throw a video out there, getting everybody's kind of vibe and like feeling on like the spear. I don't see it used as much anymore. I'm struggling to pick a little bit. I really haven't seen many people like kind of talk about where it fits in the sandbox anymore, because everybody's kind of like, glowing up about the recoilless rifle. So, let me know what you guys think, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace and take care.